I don't know why, I can't recall her name. Guess to me she's just the same as all the girls I've met since I've been on the roam. I just don't know what there is about her that keeps me hanging on, but she makes me hate that single life and living all alone. She's got that certain something sort of get you down, but she knows how to treat a traveling, tired and hungry loving man. If I ever go out west again, I'll stop in Idaho, but I can't recall that woman's name, so I may not ever go. I can't go out there and say, let's settle down. Oh, by the way, what's your name? I remember you. Do you remember me? In some other dumb old game. I wonder if she remembers me. I didn't stay too long. Nah, she'd never forget a time like that, no matter how long I'd been gone. She'd probably say, hi, Bill. Say, long time no see. I'd say hi and mumble something. No, that's not for me. She's got that certain something sort of get you down, but she knows how to treat a traveling, tired and hungry loving man. If I ever go out west again, I'll stop in Idaho, and I know I'll try to find her, if it's just to say hello. On the Chisholm Trail it was midnight. Carmela was strong on his mind, but because of the life he had chosen, Carmela had left him behind. Too long he had been El Bandito. Carmela had left him alone, but today someone brought the message she'd been seen in old San Antone. Cross the Brazos to Waco, ride hard and I'll make it by dawn. Cross the Brazos to Waco, I'm safe when I reach San Antone. Then he glanced back over his shoulder, but the posse was nowhere in sight. He'd sent for Carmela to meet him on the banks of the Brazos tonight. She was there and he'd kept the promise that he'd made such a long time ago. And he dropped those guns that she hated in the muddy Brazos below. Cross the Brazos to Waco, ride hard and I'll make it by dawn. The Brazos to Waco, I'm safe when I reach San Antone. Then the night come alive with gunfire, and at last he knew he'd been found. As the ranger's bed shone brightly, El Bandito lay on the ground. Carmela knew he was dying, knew her dreams all were in vain. As she kissed his lips for the last time, she heard him whisper again. Cross the Brazos to Waco, ride hard and I'll make it by dawn. Cross the Brazos to Waco, I'm safe when I reach San Antone. I'm safe when I reach San Antone. On a dark, stormy night, not a star was in sight, and the north wind was howling down the line. There stood a brave engineer with his sweetheart so dear, and his orders to pull old number 9. She kissed him goodbye with a tear in her eye, and the joy in his heart he could not hide. And his whole world was bright, for she told him that night that tomorrow she'd be his blushing bride. As the train rolled along, the wheels hummed a song, the black smoke was rolling from the stack, and the headlight agleam seemed to brighten his dream of tomorrow when he'd be going back. As he came around the hill, his brave heart stood still, the headlight was shining in his face, and he said a little prayer as he threw on the air. He knew this would be his final race. In the wreck he was found, lying there on the ground. He asked them to raise his weary head. As his breath slowly went, this message he sent to the maiden who knew she would be wed. There's a little white home that I've built for our own, and I knew we'd be happy, you and I. And I leave it to you, and I know you'll be true till we meet at that golden gate goodbye. Well, I repossessed my car. I said I'll get it back again. I'll fight them finance people till the end. Here's my delinquent payment, and here's some to boot. Now give me back my car and take my loot. They said, I think you're just a little bit late. We can't mess around while you procrastinate. We auctioned off your car, well, you know that's the way we are. I'm afraid you're just a little bit late. So I had to catch a city bus to get to work on time. I missed the one at 8, had to catch the one at 9. I finally got to work about 10:15. I went to tell the foreman where I'd been. He said, I think you're just a little bit late. And fella, that's a thing I really hate. I don't want to make you sore, but we can't use you anymore. I'm afraid you're just a little bit late. So my wife packed up and left. I said she can't do that to me. Guess I'll have to show her what a lover I can be. I bought a dozen roses. I said, honey, please come home. Your lover boy can't stand to be alone. She said, I think you're just a little bit late. You see, I found myself another mate. He's handsomer than you. He's got a car. He's working too. I'm afraid you're just a little bit late. Well, after the divorce, I was left without a dime. You can see that I was forced to lead a life of sin and crime. I gambled and I plundered, I cursed and smoked and drank. I even tried to rob the local bank. They said, I think you're just a little bit late. There's no money in our vault for you to take. You're the second crook today, the other robber got away. I'm afraid you're just a little bit late. Well, the time I spent in jail has made me see that I was wrong. I decided to repent and take it easy from now on. But when I climb the golden stairs on the judgment day, the man will probably look at me and say, I think you're just a little bit late. You see, we're all filled up today. Why don't you go on down below? If something breaks, we'll let you know. I'm afraid you're just a little bit late. Coming out of the rain, sweet thing, coming out of the storm. You might get wet, and I love you, pet. You'll find my arms are warm. When I grew to a man, I bought my land, I got myself a wife. I always knew that she was true, the pleasure of my life. And many a day I'd toil away till a tiny cloud rolled by. She'd stand there on the front porch, looking at the sky. Coming out of the rain, sweet thing, coming out of the storm. You might get wet, I love you, pet, you'll find my arms are warm. We lived alone in our little home till children came along, and we were proud to see the crowd all grow up straight and strong. And all was new and work was through when a tiny cloud rolled by. They'd throw their arms around my neck and I could hear them cry. Coming out of the rain, Papa, coming out of the storm. Now some are wed, but some are dead, and their memory keeps me warm. Now the years have flown and I have older grown. My land is choked with vines. I no longer hoe the grassy row. No pleasure do I find. But my wife so true knows what to do when a tiny cloud rolls by. She sits there by the fire looking at the sky. Coming out of the rain, old man, coming out of the storm. I'll just heat up your coffee cup. You can drink until you're warm. You can drink until you're warm. Well, my full name is Tommy Table Thompson. You will note my initial is a T. I'll tell you the story of West Virginia and the year somebody killed Big Bobby Lee. That was in the year of 1883. Bobby said, I think I'll go to town and get a wife, and I think that I will have Miss Carol Ann. But Carol was my girl, so I decided that I couldn't give her up to any man. Losing her was just too much for me to stand. Bobby Lee rode into town that Friday morning, biggest, meanest man that ever rode the hills. I shot him from the roof of Sammy's stable. Forget him, I don't guess I ever will, 'cause he was the only man I ever killed. Well, I hid the gun and run away for 2 months. When I came back, nobody mentioned him to me. They'd taken him to rest on Collie Mountain. Didn't know that I'd killed Big Bobby Lee. Buried him beneath a little dogwood tree. 2 years later, I rode up on Collie Mountain. What I saw there, I'll bet you won't believe. For that dogwood had grown up to form a letter. Plainly written on that skyline was a T. Was the message from the grave of Bobby Lee. I stood staring at that tree in fascination. Suddenly I heard a voice in back of me. I whirled around and there stood Bobby's father. He said, you're the man that killed my Bobby Lee. And I guess that's when he fired the gun at me. Well, they say you never hear the one that gets you, and I seen the ground come rushing up at me. I felt the pain and hurt of all of justice, and I knew the judge and jury was the tree, was the verdict from the grave of Bobby Lee. Crown me a fool, hand me the prize, I win the honor no one denies. So crown me a fool, I shut out the sun as fools come and go. I must be number one. I held your love in the palm of my hand, but like a fool I was made out of clay. And just like the fool that I am, I let your love slip away. So crown me a fool, let me be on my way to that big celebration they call April Fool's Day. but like a fool I was made out of clay. And just like the fool that I am, I let your love slip away. So crown me a fool, let me be on my way to that big celebration they call April Fool's Day. To that big celebration they call April Fool's Day. Where the Walker runs down to the Carson Valley Plain, there lived a maiden, Darcy Farrow was her name, the daughter of old Dundee, and a fair one was she, as fair as any flower that ever bloomed on the range. Her voice was sweet as the sugar candy, her touch was as soft as a bed of goose down. Her eyes shone bright like the pretty lights that shone in the night out of Yarrington town. She was courted by young Vandermeer, who was quite handsome as I hear. He brought her rings and lacy things, they planned to be married when the snow fell that year. But her pony stumbled and on her did fall, her dying touched the hearts of us one and all. Young Vandy in his pain put a bullet through his brain. We buried them together when the snow began to fall. Now they sing of Darcy Farrow where the Truckee runs through. They sing of her beauty in Virginia City too. At dusty sundown to her name they drank around, and to young Vandy whose love was true. Where the Walker runs down to the Carson Valley Plain, there lived a maiden, Darcy Farrow was her name, the daughter of old Dundee, and a fair one was she, as fair as any flower that ever bloomed on the range. Well, a long time ago, when the earth was green, there was more kind of animals than you ever seen, just a roaming around free while the world was being born. And the loveliest of all was the unicorn. There was green alligators and long-necked geese, humpy-backed camels and chimpanzees, cats and rats and elephants, but sure as you're born, the loveliest of all was the unicorn. Now the Lord seen some sinning, and it caused him pain. He said, stand back, I'm gonna make it rain. Said, hey, brother Noah, I'll tell you what to do. I want you to build me a floating zoo. I want two green alligators, two long-necked geese, two humpy-backed camels, two chimpanzees, two cats, two rats, two elephants, but sure as you're born, Noah, don't forget my unicorn. Well, Noah was there, and he heard the calling. He finished that old ark when the rain started falling. In marched the animals two by two. You could hear him shout as they came through. Lord, I got you two alligators, two long-necked geese, two humpy-backed camels, two chimpanzees, two cats, two rats, two elephants, but sure as you're born, Lord, I couldn't find those unicorns. Then Noah looked out through the driving rain. The unicorns was hiding and playing silly games, kicking and a splashing while the rain was a-pouring. Oh, those foolish unicorns. Then the ark started shaking and drifting with the tide. The unicorns looked up from the rocks and cried. The water came up and kind of floated them away. That's why you never see unicorns today. You see lots of alligators and a whole mess of geese, humpback camels and chimpanzees, cats and rats and elephants, but sure as you're born, you're never gonna see any unicorn. Oh, the hot wind blows and the tumbleweed rolls. Don't say a word, 'cause everyone knows it's a song of death, it's the dying breath, the ghost of Indian Joe. Well, a man on the lam on a mule named Sam took a shortcut on his way, and as he went, he spied the tent of Indian Joe that day. Joe was a-walkin', he was a-stalkin', game for to bring it home. When the white man saw his Indian squaw, he grabbed her for his own. Joe heard the scream and he rushed to the scene, but the white man shot him down. And he said, what a fool, as he climbed on his mule and rode off into town. He bellied the bar at the Silver Star, he drank his whiskey raw, and his bloodshot eyes got a big surprise at what he thought he saw. His gun spewed balls at the empty walls, I guess he's seen old Joe. Once more he cried and then he died, I guess we'll never know. We looked at the place but we found no trace of the thing that got him down. We looked at the wood where the ghost had stood, only bullet holes were found. Now the bar is closed, it's all old Joe's. We don't go there, 'cause everyone knows that forevermore he stands by the door, the ghost of Indian Joe, the ghost of Indian Joe. Drunk again, oh Lord, what am I gonna do? I've been painting this town another shade of blue. There's gotta be a way to get this broken heart to mend. But when I try, I sit and cry, and I get drunk again. What's the difference if I leave or if I stay here? 'Cause me is all I've got to take along. I don't think I can spend another day here. It's so hard to stay around when you've been wrong. But I'm drunk again, guess I'll have another round. I've been searching for my heart in every bar in town. There's gotta be a way to get this broken heart to mend. But when I try, I sit and cry, and I get drunk again. If she'd take me back, I'd be there in a minute. 'Cause this world's an awful place when you're alone. And this time I know my heart would be in it. I wanna hang my hat where I call home. But I'm drunk again, I guess that's plain to see. And I can't go home, and that's what tortures me. There's gotta be a way to get this broken heart to mend. But when I try, I sit and cry, and I get drunk again. But when I try, I sit and cry, and I get drunk again. Well, I'm too old for girls and I'm too young for women. I've looked all around and my hopes are a-dimmin'. I feel like a fish not allowed any swimming. It makes a fella mean to feel he's a part of a lost generation. I feel like a choo-choo kept in the station. I feel like a dog not allowed recreation. They call me Mr. In-Between, Mr. In-Between, Mr. In-Between, makes a fella mean. They call me Mr. In-Between. I got a hot rod Chevy with a twin carburetor. I've got a gal that's a real sharp tomato. She's got a daddy with a caddy that'll date her. Ah, see what I mean? Sweet little thing just sets me a-droolin'. I'm too old for soldiers and I'm too young for schoolin'. I'm too young for love, but I'm too old for foolin'. They call me Mr. In-Between, Mr. In-Between, Mr. In-Between, tries to live so clean. They call me Mr. In-Between. Well, I feel like a sailboat kept in a bottle. I feel like an engineer that can't find the throttle. I'm too young to walk, but I'm too old to toddle. Lordy, I'm turning green to see all the men are making time with the ladies, the high school kids in the show with their babies, while I run around like a dog with the rabies. They call me Mr. In-Between, Mr. In-Between, Mr. In-Between, better leave the scene. They call me